Record.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of In and Around Football, our new podcast. I hope it's been a eagerly awaited episode. I'm Johnny. I'll be hosting this week's, and I'm joined by Finn.
Hello.
Richard.
Hello.
And Jack.
Hi, everyone.
Well, I thought we'd start off with just a general chit chat. What about this week in the world of football? Finn, I hear you were at a game this weekend.
Yeah, the less said the better about the game, but I've enjoyed Southend. It's a lovely place. We played mini golf for a couple of hours. We lost 2-0. It was dreadful.
Who's we?
Stevenage, sorry, yeah.
In mini golf?
No, I won the second game in mini golf. That was great. But yeah, the game wasn't brilliant.
What was Roots Hall like?
The outside was rubbish. The inside was marginally better. Yeah, it was fine. Fine.
Did you see Phil Brown?
From a distance.
Was he looking tanned?
He's always looking tanned, Rich.
Saving people from jumping from bridges.
He was wearing a very nice suit, which showed up our manager who was wearing a tracksuit. So
Has the result put a dampener on your hopes for Stevenage's season?
Well, I didn't know what to expect before the first two games, and one win, one loss. I'm still not really sure what to expect. So,
are they supposed to be one of the better teams, Southend?
I think they were in the playoffs last year,
yeah.
From memory. I'm probably wrong, but so yeah, they're a strong side.
Stuff.
Yes. Better weekend for you and Johnny, Jack.
Yeah, delighted. I mean, down to 10 men and a penalty against after half an hour. So, well, here we go again.
Were you certain?
Definitely would have grabbed a draw if you'd offered it at that point. No, I did say the only way we're going to get back into this game is if West Ham do something stupid, like get a red card themselves, and that's exactly what happened. So, yeah, delighted. Yeah, delighted.
And Johnny also, there's another late winner in your.
Yeah, got the bus back to go watch us v Palace, and yeah, we just weren't really at the races, really, but we'd have been unlucky. Well, I don't like using that word in talking about football, but they essentially scored from their only attacking thought, and then we sort of struggled to get back into it. But yeah,
Bit of concern about the lack of chances created at home to Palace, or
first day of the season,
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
3 points is 3 points. So, but yeah, it was good. It was the only game I really watched anything of. Actually, I didn't watch any.
I must say, I did enjoy the United game yesterday.
That was.
Did you, Richard?
Same shit, different day, wasn't it?
Although I would say it might have been
shit,
even worse shit.
No, not as many crosses against Fulham. That was hilarious. Although, yeah, talking of shit, Ashley Young got poo in his mouth, didn't he?
Yeah,
you all see that?
Yeah.
I haven't seen
I don't think that was poo.
What else was it?
Have you seen the angle was from the side? How is?
No, I think that's just perspective.
Sorry, can someone recount the situation?
There's a Vine going around of Ashley Young shouting and something white flies into his mouth.
It's definitely Virgil.
I mean, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Probably, but I don't see what else it could be, unless like another player's thrown their gum into his mouth.
Which is very disgusting, but not in the same league quite.
Yeah.
Did you hear what happened? Sorry, did anyone hear, just talk about interesting things this week, what happened in the Marseille game?
Oh,
when they were
watched it.
ridiculous.
I watched the second half.
The Brandao headbutt.
Oh, that was
that was PSG Bastia.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bastia. He plays for Bastia.
No, I'm talking about something else.
No, I watched half that game, so
so
please tell me, John.
When Marseille had a player who got blood on his shirt,
Yeah, Andre Ayew, yeah.
and they didn't have a spare shirt, so they had to substitute him.
Yeah, well, they were
Why don't
at
they
one
have a
point, because he went off in the first half with blood in his shirt, and they gave him, I think, a spare shirt to come out for the second half. But he didn't wear the bandage in the second half, which, I mean, was a bit of a mistake, because then he started bleeding again, blood got on his second shirt. He came off for a while, but they started taping up another shirt, as though they were going to try and improvise, get it into his number with some tape. And
But that Costa Rica player a couple of weeks ago, the same thing happened to him, and he borrowed his club.
Borges.
He borrowed a shirt.
Yeah.
Celso Borges borrowed a shirt from a fan. Could they not have just done that?
Well, maybe no fans have his shirt. Maybe it's not a very popular player.
You often see them without their.
I think. Well, all I saw was on the edge of the pitch them taping up a shirt.
Odd. Have you all seen the Brandao headbutt?
Yes, embarrassing. The running away was the embarrassing part of it.
What?
he was marking Thiago Motta was marking him throughout the game and probably giving him a few kicks. I haven't actually seen it, but Brandao was waiting for him in the tunnel after the game, and when Motta was walking along, he just nutted him straight in the face, broke his nose, I think, and then basically ran away as soon as he did it.
I'd like to see what happened after that, because the video stops with Motta sprinting after him, but I assume he didn't get anywhere.
No, it's usually that's a really un-football headbutt. Usually it's just kind of lean in, and that's it.
Yeah, really.
He properly nutted him.
Well, the news today is that Bastia apparently are trying to terminate his contract before the disciplinary hearing to avoid any points deduction. So
you won't get a points deduction for that.
Well,
surely he'll just get suspended for ages.
That's what I read. I don't know.
Really?
Well, someone on Twitter said it. If it's wrong, blame them.
Oh, bloody Twitter.
Anyway, should we get on?
Yeah, let's move on to our main topic of discussion. This week I've gone for: is there room for ideology as a football manager, or are results everything? So I thought we'd just have a quick kind of first opinion from everyone. What your initial take on that question, Jack?
So I looked at the question from different angles. So does the manager have room for ideology, but also are results everything to the fans or the club? So I think in the short term, you'd say results are everything. I mean, just on the basis of one match or a few matches. I mean, we all admit, like, if our team wins playing badly, you couldn't really care any less. And at the same time, if you win playing terrible football, it doesn't really bother you one match to the next. But I think over a longer period of time, ideology does matter. If you look at examples like Stoke under Pulis and Allardyce at West Ham, I mean, they've achieved probably as much as they could at those clubs, and yet the fans still getting a bit restless, wanting to see a different style of football. So from the fans' point of view, I think the ideology is important. They want to see nice football, but from my point of view, I think it's good to have that variation in style. I mean, it'd be pretty boring if everyone was trying to play like Barcelona and pass it around. And
I think that's what everyone thinks of when the term like attractive football is used is the Barcelona model. I think, from my point of view, what I want to see is positive football. I don't mind long ball. The long ball's fine if they play it well, they've got a good striker winning the knockdowns and attacking from it. I'm fine with that. I'll happily watch that.
Yeah, no, I mean I find it quite entertaining to watch West Ham do that or even Allardyce back at Blackburn when they get a free kick kind of in the centre circle and you see Paul Robinson trotting up to launch it. I love that. It's great to see.
I went to a game where it was way in like. But
the thing about that is none of us support Blackburn or West Ham, so when it's kind of a bit of a novelty when we see that.
Well, I mean, you say that Graham Wesley, the Stevenage manager, is very often thought of as being a fairly anti-football manager. I would argue we're not quite as bad as people think we are, but we had great seasons. Like my favourite ever football season was playing like that, supposedly. And
don't you think down the leagues you have to be a bit more pragmatic? Because players are generally more limited, obviously, in their ability. So,
yes,
I mean, there is room for different styles of football, but perhaps less so than in the Premier League.
Yes, and I mean, I think there is certainly an element of that. I think it's harder, more difficult to find the right players to be successful. But we had another manager where the football was brilliant. But eventually he got another job, he moved on and ended up down, I think he's somewhere managing someone like Thurrock these days, so it obviously hasn't gone that well for him. So maybe that's the point. Maybe it's not possible to keep that standard of football at the lower leagues.
The thing which interested me with this question is that I don't think that results and ideology they're not separate things. So Barcelona don't play the way they do because they're conforming to some kind of higher belief that is how football should be played. They play that way because they think that's the most effective way of getting results. In the same way that Pulis at Stoke and at Crystal Palace and what have you, and Mourinho to a lesser extent play the way they do because that's how they think that their team and the players that they have are most likely to succeed. So it's not that kind of obviously no manager and no club and fans are just going to accept playing whatever beautiful football it is, if at the end of the day you are just not winning. But if Stoke were to keep winning games with Rory Delap throw-ins and what have you, then I'm sure everyone will be fine. But
ask Johnny about
that. Well, exactly. Fans were getting frustrated at the Emirates, weren't they?
One of our favourite goals, Jack.
Was it Abdoulaye Faye?
Yeah.
Falling over himself as it hits his knee onto his face and bobbles over the net.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So that's great. It's that kind of that variation in ideology that you still talk about. You still talk about it years after these things happen.
Yeah. But the other thing is, though, surely, I mean, the problem in the lower leagues, especially the Championship, more than any, is that does a manager have long enough at a club to implement their ideology? They have to just go for results as quickly as possible. They're not given time. If they try, you have to build a team who can play the passing football. If you want to play that way, you can't just take on a club, get their players to suddenly play it, because not everyone can do that.
No. If I was a manager, I think I'd say that I was trying to get my team to play beautiful football, because if I say, oh, results are everything, and I don't get results, then I've just taught myself out of a job. But if I say, oh, we're trying to do blah 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 X and Y, and the results don't quite come, then I'll be like, well, we're still getting towards this higher purpose of beautiful football, and that might keep me in the way.
They might call you out as a fraud.
Well, if I did this at 10 different clubs, then maybe.
Well, if you said you were trying to play beautiful football,
every time we're
losing every week.
How many transfer windows does a manager need to bring in the right players, though?
How much control does a manager have in these transfer windows?
But the average duration for a manager's length of time at a club in the last 5 seasons is 1.87 seasons. In the Championship, that drops. I was going to say
3 windows, so yep.
In the Championship, that drops to less than a season.
Less than a season.
According to the LMA website, 0.93 seasons.
Amazing.
Nice. Well, I suppose that's a question. One thing I wrote down was, should philosophy come from the manager, definitely, or can the club kind of have it at a higher level?
Well, that's the kind of Barcelona, Ajax, Leicester, Swansea, isn't it? That's kind of a person installed that as the ideology of the club, and it's just being carried on. But I think if you have a director of football, then you can have a club having an ideology. Otherwise, it's just the manager takes it around with him, isn't it?
Some clubs do have an inherent ideology. I mean, Spurs, for example, there's kind of the acceptance that as a manager coming in, you should try and play kind of attacking, swashbuckling football. I mean, up for debate whether that's actually happened over the last few years, but
AVB didn't get the memo.
No, well, and he was quickly shown the door, wasn't he? So,
well, I think that's more down to the results, though. I don't think the ideology played that much of a part.
Finn, maybe if we were playing beautiful football and losing 5-0, he might have been given a little bit more time. But
yeah,
probably not.
And do you guys think that there's even less room for it nowadays, that money is so much more of a driving force?
Certainly, yeah. Without a doubt. Just because if you lose the amount of clubs in the Premier League, there's the top 6-7 who are pretty much set. They have the pressure to be reaching the top 6 and 7 every year, and then the rest of the clubs are all trying to fight relegation. Almost, probably Newcastle are the ones who aren't quite into that group. But everyone else is fighting relegation, so you have to get the results straight away. Otherwise, you're gone, because the financial implications of going down or not making it into Europe are so great.
There's definitely, but I read some quotes from Bobby Charlton, and he was talking about fans go to the game at the weekends to be entertained and for the theatre and what have you, and so you should try and entertain. So, to that extent, then the result does seem to be less important, or used to be less important, because there weren't kind of the financial incentives, which is just unarguable. But that kind of, without sounding too much like a dick, depends on, it's kind of like, what is the point of sport? So
I think football is different to most sports. Maybe it's just because I'm a football fan. Other fans of other sports might think the same. Football isn't so much about the entertainment; it's about the result. For the team you support, I'll come away from a game that we've won 1-0, put in some horrible challenges and played long ball stuff throughout, and I'll be happy. If we lose 2-1 but play brilliantly, don't care. We lost.
The result is the entertainment. It's not so much it's not necessarily how the game's played. It's the stories that are generated by the results and the story over a season that is entertaining. I mean, obviously, it's great to see nice football and your team playing attacking style, but that's not the only thing that's entertaining about football, is it?
You won't remember a 2-1 loss if you played well. You'll just remember losing at the end of the season. You'll remember the 1-0 win where you grabbed a late winner, even if it was a terrible game.
Rory Smith, for the Times, wrote an interesting piece on that, where he argued that football has essentially become sports entertainment, like wrestling, because we are more interested in the narrative generated by games than actually enjoying the games themselves for what they are, which is definitely kind of a product of result being everything, and other factors as well.
And just the amount of money and the amount of pressure on managers and players to win every game. I think that's kind of a natural conclusion to that.
Yeah, well, interesting sort of case study I looked up was Athletic Bilbao, and they so in the 2010-2011 season they finished 6th and reached the final of the Copa del Rey, and their manager at the time, Joaquin Caparros, was sacked, even though this was seen as sort of a relatively successful season. I didn't know this about Bilbao, but apparently they're founded by English ship workers.
Yeah.
I think we saw that in the Atletico Madrid Museum.
Yeah, they have this inherent sort of feeling of wanting to play quite direct football. And in this article by Jonathan Wilson, he says the coaches must be direct enough to reflect the traditions of the club, but not so direct as to be accused of being long ball.
That's a very detailed stipulation.
Yeah, which seems crazy. But they hired.
Which side of that range did he fall foul of?
He was seen as being too long ball.
Too long ball.
But you got to a cup final. They don't get to too many Bilbao, do they?
Exactly. Yeah. So they hired Marcelo Bielsa.
Yeah.
But he was successful though.
Well, and played lovely football.
Yeah.
It's anything like any of his other jobs.
It does seem like they got rid of a relatively successful manager just based purely on style and kind of ethos that they were looking for, rather than.
That's interesting. Bilbao.
I like for a club to have principles, even if you disagree with the fact that he got sacked. I like that they stick to their guns and they want to be true to the traditions of the club.
You'd have thought with the difficulties they already have by only picking players from the Basque region, they're getting to a cup final. However you play is a
Well, that's the thing. Bilbao have some kind of quite strong traditions, don't they? They are really, as you said, picking players from the Basque region, and they're in the same way that Barca represent Catalonia, they represent the Basque country. So it's kind of a bit. Not many clubs, I guess, would have that kind of strong an ideology. So you're probably not going to get that elsewhere, really.
And there's probably a pride in the club from the fans in a slightly different way to most clubs because of that. Because of how they go about their business.
Yeah.
Looking back over history and over a longer period of time, do we think that football style is important? So, I mean, if you look back at the history books for a league title, there's no asterisk saying, "Oh, they won it playing terrible, ugly football." I mean, the example that I thought of was the Brazil team in 1982, which is, you know, you hear people talk about it, you know, one of the best teams of all time, and they didn't even do that well in that tournament. They got knocked out in the second group phase. Don't know why they got rid of the second group phase.
Because it's a terrible idea.
Yeah, but I mean, does it matter that that team didn't win?
The thing is, it's easier for Brazil to have that discussion because they've won. Well, at the time they'd won 4.
Yeah.
So because that '94 team is hated pretty much, even though they won it. But I mean,
people do care about style.
Yeah, but if England won the World Cup, hoofing it Paul Robinson style, we'd still be dancing on the streets. I don't think anyone would care.
Sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I completely agree. But in a way, maybe the reason Brazil winning it in '94 is such a people think of it like that is because it's Brazil. You expect Brazil to play this kind of football. You expect them to be attacking, and they just didn't do that. So I mean, I think that's probably with England. They expect that from us.
Successes.
Also, they went out and didn't they? Is that the one they went out to Italy, the Rossi hat trick?
Yeah.
So that helped. They went out in such a entertaining way.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the conclusion is from this. Really, I think we all think I think we seem to like the idea of a club having a sort of a style and something that they adhere to at a sort of higher level. But I think we all accept that has to be scrapped at some point if results.
Well, I'm interested to hear what you think about Arsenal, Johnny, because obviously now you've won a trophy, but in the period before that, people were beginning to say Wenger was being too stubborn. He needed to sacrifice some of his principles.
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of agree with Jack on this. That I particularly like the idea. It might be a little bit stupid at times and not logical, but I really like the idea of just having a style that we adhere to and that you can tell Wenger really strongly believes in. So I was never really calling for him to kind of pack it all in. It's more just finding that kind of extra 5%, maybe just being that little bit more pragmatic rather than sort of tearing it up and just I don't know, putting 6 at the back and seeing what we can get.
That's a slightly interesting side note. Do you think the Barcelona idea, they obviously were so successful up to a few years ago, and suddenly now it's a different way of playing the game, the way Bayern Munich and
Tiki-taka is dead.
Well, do you think there is developing a new ideology is now the one that people are going to go for? Because people have begun thinking Barcelona's play is boring. People passing it around the back, it's. Do you think?
I think that goes in phases. Surely, I mean, Barcelona was so kind of eulogised in the media that I think that's just part of it. Really, people just got bored about hearing about how great they are. I don't
think Barcelona would get bored of it if they kept winning using that style. They're not going to stop playing that way because people think it's boring. They're going to stop playing that way because teams like Bayern Munich have found a way of playing a different style of football that can beat them. So they're not playing tiki-taka for the sake of it. They're playing it because, like you said earlier, Finn, they thought that was the way of winning the game.
Yeah, there's definitely I would guess there's a less strong ideology in football nowadays because football is essentially played in the same way throughout the world. Really, I mean, there's kind of very slight variations within that, but yeah, nothing too major.
Just very quickly, on the idea that Spanish football is more attractive, the managerial. I don't know if it has gotten into how long managers have at a club. Only 5 managers left their club in the whole of the duration of the La Liga season last year, as opposed to 10 in the Premier League and 15 in Serie A.
Yeah, Serie A is all ridiculous like that.
What, 3 games and you're out?
Yeah.
Well, I think this is a good place, to wrap this up. And, as I say, I'm not sure we've come to a firm conclusion, but it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
And I think Richard has got
Club Focus. Yeah, so Club Focus this week is on a club which is very close to the hearts of the 4 of us, and that is Ferencvaros. Team formed in Budapest, Hungary. So the 4 of us went travelling last year throughout Europe, and we stopped off in Budapest and were able to catch a Ferencvaros game, which means that we are now fully paid up members of Ferencvaros Football Club.
Got the card
Delighted,
and everything.
And I will be taking a photo of my card, get it on the Twitter feed later, so you can all bask in its glory, because the back of it is sensational. They've
it is a nice
an
card,
eagle
yeah.
on top of the badge. It's great work.
Also privy to regular fan club emails from Ferencvaros, which are great
if
read.
you were to speak Hungarian, they'd be even better.
Yeah.
Such an accessible
Yeah,
language.
definitely. So Ferencvaros were formed in 1899, as a lot of football clubs were, but they are more than a football club, to take their Barcelona way. They're a sporting club, so Ferencvaros Club encompasses football, handball, ice hockey, ball hockey, water polo, basketball, 9-pin bowling, which I didn't even know was a thing.
9-pin bowling?
And curling. Brilliant.
Which one of those clubs are we going to focus on today, Rich?
I thought we'd do an hour on each to keep it brief.
Oh, good.
So Ferencvaros are the most successful team in Hungary. They've won 28 league titles and 28 cups. but their success has kind of dried up in recent years. So they've not won anything since 2004, and the kind of power centre of Hungarian football has moved away from Budapest to Debrecen, who have won 6 titles since Ferencvaros won the last. So Ferencvaros' greatest success came in 1965 when they won the Intercities Fairs Cup, which is a brilliant competition held between cities hosting trade fairs. So, great qualification criteria for that. So it sounds a little bit like a Tin Pot Trophy, but they beat some pretty sizable teams on the way. So they beat Roma, Bilbao, Man United, who won a league title that year, and Juventus. And they won the final in Juventus' stadium, beating them 1-0.
Wow.
So that is...
They must have been a pretty decent team.
Yeah, that was pretty good. So their kind of club legend was playing during the time. That's Florian Albert. He scored 256 goals for Ferencvaros.
Does that make him their all-time leading goal scorer?
It doesn't, no. So the all-time leading goal scorer is Grigory Sharozy, who scored 351.
Not their club legend.
No, so Florian Albert, in '67 he won the Ballon d'Or ahead of Bobby Charlton, so you can kind of see the esteem that he was held in, and he won it quite comfortably ahead of Bobby Charlton. So in '70,
what was the voting system like?
I think it was the same as it was. Didn't they get journalists or managers or something just to vote, and it came up?
I bet it's less corrupt than it is these days.
Yeah, definitely.
I bet the top players voted for each other, unlike Messi and Ronaldo. Anyway.
Yeah, maybe. Conversation for another time. So in 1975, they very nearly won the Cup Winners' Cup. They got to the final, beating Kevin Keegan's Liverpool team. But unfortunately, they were taken down by Valery Lobanovsky's Dynamo Kiev. They lost 3-0. So it wasn't to be.
They had to make way for the motherland.
They had their time in the sun. So talking of the motherland, Ferencvaros kind of sees itself as an anti-establishment club. Partly because it's kind of Ferencvaros is a district, it's kind of the blue-collar workers in Budapest. So they really see themselves as kind of anti-establishment, but partly because Ferencvaros was adopted and taken over by a Nazi-leaning party in 1944, and later by a communist party. So it's kind of got to a stage where the team name was changed and the colours of the kit were changed because of the power that Ferencvaros had in kind of creating a society and the power that its fans had in Budapest politically, which is a pretty kind of sizable thing. So in 56, I don't know how much people know about post-war Hungary. It was occupied by the USSR, and
I knew that.
What, Imre Nagy?
Good knowledge. But the Ferencvaros fans in the district of Ferencvaros, the fans were kind of largely responsible, or mainly responsible, for the uprising in 1956. So they really kind of see themselves as being kind of anti-power struggle. And they pride themselves on having the most violent fans in Hungary. So
badge of honour.
Yeah. So we were lucky to escape from that game, unscathed.
Maybe that was why
it was a fairly tepid encounter, and the 12 or so MTK Budapest fans who turned up didn't really look like they were up for the fight.
That was unfortunate. So unfortunately, Ferencvaros' kind of anti-establishment nature has subsequently moved towards being more anti-Semitic. So their biggest or kind of most high-profile fan is the current president of Hungary, Viktor Orban, who is a pretty strong anti-Semite, which is a bit unfortunate for a club which has kind of the history of fighting against.
They've lost their way.
Which is,
we did see some kind of questionable banners.
Yeah, so
at
that game we were at, they celebrated the funeral of the death of a Nazi war criminal who was, I think suspected of, sending a lot of people to some death camps. So that is, they've taken a bad turn, I think, in recent times. To go back to more of the football stuff, in 2006, due to financial difficulties, they were relegated to Hungarian second tier, which is obviously not good for a club of kind of their history and stature.
Are they still a big club?
Of course they are, Johnny. Harking back to last
come back
week.
with how many Twitter followers.
Probably,
we'll get back to you
probably not
week.
many.
Probably not.
So moving on to this season, they've moved into a shiny new stadium. So we saw them in a rundown, brilliant, amazing stadium. But now they've gone into it.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Inaugurated with a friendly against Chelsea, which they lost.
Oh yeah.
But never mind. They've had some, I guess, a mixed start to the season. They've won 2, lost 1 in the league, which is pretty decent. But they're out of the Europa League. They lost to HNK Rijeka. Anyone know of them?
Yes, Croatian.
Good knowledge.
They had a big win yesterday.
Did they? Okay, good.
Ferencvaros also had a good win today.
Yeah, they did. Picked up 1-0. But Ferencvaros are probably, they came third last season. Realistically, they're probably not going to improve on that. They lost Bezic, obviously, to Everton. But
good money as well.
That was the highest ever sale. 4.5 million.
I'd be very interested to see how he does this season. I hope he gets some game time. He didn't play yesterday.
Yeah, he was very good at the World Cup, so hopefully stakes his claim. But Ferencvaros have brought back club legend. I'm titling in with that. Zoltan Gira.
Wow,
so
great.
They guarantees themselves 1 scissor kick a year. Which,
it's always good for a wonder goal. Yeah.
So that's brilliant.
Of course, they've got David Holman as well. Of course, a young talent that we saw.
He's going to be
some
player.
Waiting for him to get his big move.
Remember the name.
I know he's played for Hungary under 21, so he's on the radar.
Close.
Yeah, remember it, you're never going to hear it again.
Yeah, so Ferencvaros, I think third is probably the best they're going to do, unless they haven't spent the Bezic money yet. But if they can invest that well, who knows? They've probably still got a little bit of time left. But yeah, shiny new stadium, so I guess the fans will be enjoying that. But yeah, there's probably going to be a struggle this season, I'd say.
Interesting.
Any more? They've got some great players associated with them. So Sandor Koksic started his career at Ferencvaros, as did Laszlo Kubala. So Sandor Koksic, member of the mighty Magyars.
Yeah, the team that beat England at Wembley.
Yeah, exactly. He left Ferencvaros after not too many games, moved to Honved, another Budapest team where he had a lot more success with Puskás et al.
Do you know why? Did Puskás play for them? Why is their stadium named after them?
It was not their stadium. Yeah, so they were playing in the Florian Albert Stadium, named after club legend, previously mentioned. Yeah. But for the second half of the season, they moved into the Hungarian National Stadium, which is the Ferenc Puskás Arena. Okay. But yeah, they've since moved into the Grupana Arena, which is a bit of a shame that it's not
quite as
not still named after a club legend, but money talks.
I've driven past it in a taxi and it looked very nice. So they
it looks.
There's no higher place.
It looks like every new football stadium ever built.
Apparently, it's one of the most high tech in Central Europe, or the most in Central Europe.
Really?
Is that a big?
What's the tech that's in there?
Well, this is not very good research, but you can all find it yourself. A free-to-use Wi-Fi system where they can place orders at the bars and also watch highlights of the match as it's going on. So there you go.
Nice. That is good.
I mean, that does sound pretty good.
They're just watching the match.
Yeah. Well.
Exactly.
Seems needless.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so that is all I know on Ferencvaros.
Yeah, very good.
Great stuff on Ferencvaros.
I'm sad to see you didn't mention the Anthony Elding glory years, but well,
it wasn't time.
I'll live without. His goals fired them out of the second division. So maybe, I'm not sure they even got promoted when he was there, but
let's say they did.
Yeah, I hope so.
Right, so does that mean we're moving on to our top 5 segment?
We are indeed.
Great, okay.
Which is brought to us this week by Finn.
Thank you. I'm going to go through my top 5 Champions League final goals. So, thankfully, there's not been too many, because it's only since early 90s that it's been the Champions League. So, straight in, number 5, Dortmund versus Juventus in Munich. Juventus 2-0 down at the time. Alan Boksic runs down the left, cross just behind Del Piero, and a lovely little backfield finish.
Yeah, that's good.
Hope a couple of you have seen that one, because it's great.
Yeah, really
the mark
nice.
of the man.
Terrible things. Is he in Australia?
Yeah, really discredited.
Yeah, Sydney.
He really left on bad terms there. That's a bit of a shame, that one.
Did he? What was
Well, they just didn't really... Seemingly, the club didn't really appreciate him, and they just kicked him out.
Yeah, I mean, he's just an utter legend. And they were kind of just like, yeah, we're not winning your contract. So.
Seems like he wasn't held up in the same regard as Totti at Roma, for example, who I see as kind of similar figures, been at the same Italian club for years and years.
But Del Piero went down to Serie B.
Yeah, that is,
Yeah.
Mental.
I think
Great
Juventus played an Australian League All-Stars 11. There was rumours that Juventus would turn out for both sides, but I think he only ended up playing for the Australian side, so don't know if that's still a sign of bad blood or I don't know what. Anyway, number 4, the 1994 Champions League final. It was AC Milan versus Barcelona. In the days before Fabio Capello was being paid a shitload to produce boring World Cup games, his brilliant Milan side won 4-0 against Barcelona. My favourite of the goals was Dejan Savicevic. Brilliant lob from the corner of the area.
On this one, there is some absolutely terrible defending.
Yeah, the defender, he kind of robs the defender who just stands still.
It's really weird.
You can't take away from the finish. It was a great finish, Richard. Marcel Desailly also scored a great goal in this game, running through to curl past keeper. We didn't really see that much at Chelsea.
That reminded me of Tony Adams' goal the last day of the season, where he just just surprises himself by being there, but he's also a brilliant finish.
Much like Eric Dier.
What epic.
Number 3, going back again to the 1997 final. Just after 5 minutes after Del Piero's goal, Otmar Hitzfeld brought on Lars Ricken, and 16 seconds later, with his first touch, latched onto a through ball and beat Angelo Pruzzi with a brilliant lob from just outside the area. Effectively wrapping up the final for Dortmund, make it 3-1.
Dortmund, I think we should mention their kit in that final is amazing. It's so good.
Everything looked better in the 90s.
I think so. It's really baggy. Yellow and black is just a great combination, and it's got some really weird sponsor in the middle, which is just a huge C. Oh, it's amazing.
Paul Lambert, member of that side, of course.
Yeah, Mark Zidane out the game. Allegedly.
Set up the first goal as well, apparently.
Really?
Anyway, number 2 is probably my favourite Champions League final goal, but I don't think it's probably not quite the best.
Are we going back to 2005?
We are indeed. 2005. Great turn from Kaká. Superb through ball, and without breaking stride, Hernan Crespo runs onto it to shift it over to Jerzy Dudek, make it 3-0, and secure the Champions League for Milan or something like that.
It ended there.
It was a shame, really.
It
was a shame that Liverpool mounted their comeback, took attention away from the real the wonderful goal.
That's my favourite. If I'm honest.
I've
often heard it described the most aesthetically pleasing goal of all time.
But that through ball is right up.
Yeah, it's like Carragher is centimetres away from it.
It's the turn and the through ball from Kaká. It's just brilliant. Like, what a player he was at that time.
Finn, I wonder what your number 1 is.
Well, no points are guessing. 2002 final in Glasgow. Poised at 1-1. Roberto Carlos decides to hoof a speculative cross up in the air and drops perfectly for Zidane, who's waiting just on the edge of the area to hit the volley into the top of the goal. I think technically it must be it's just so far ahead of any others. The technique as he hits that is.
Does anyone remember the other Madrid goal for that game?
Yeah,
it was from a throw.
And the most common, I forgot about it. It's absolutely embarrassing.
He's about 20 yards behind the last defender.
So Carlos just launches a throw like 40 yards, 30 yards, and Raul is just on the shoulder of the defender, scuffs his finish, which just rolls like an inch past the keeper. It's absolutely embarrassing.
The highest order.
It's
brilliant.
It is a goal not befitting in Champions League final.
This is
a great list.
Yeah, good list.
There we go. I don't think there's much surprise other than a winner.
No.
Yeah,
you missed out McManaman's cracker in the
it was on my list. It was on my list, Jack. But
unfortunately,
didn't make it in.
I've got both of Diego Milito's goals in 2010. Just absolutely brilliant finishing. The first one, he goes for a little dummy.
One where he smashes it
just
in.
So good. Just great finishing.
That's a good final.
A couple of the others I had.
Is it Pedro's one against Man United?
Gives Van der Sar the eyes. Yeah.
Just goes near post.
All of the goals in that final
are brilliant. Goal
David Villa, just the ball not even out of his feet, just dinks a curl.
Eto's goal against Arsenal I liked as well. That's
goal. Well, I think both goals in that final, both Barca.
I think the second one was quite a bit of a howler from Armenia.
What Belletti's got? That's not a great.
Great play from Larson. He absolutely smashes that.
Well, Henrik Larsson, great player.
Good stuff. Good list.
Yeah, nice. So that brings on to our quiz.
Shall we crack on with the quiz?
I think so.
So we're gonna slight change from last week. We're gonna give out the answers as we go. But I still want you guys to message me with your guesses, and then I'll let you know how you're getting on as we go through. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Sounds
same as
good.
last week, we've got 5 questions and then a theme that links all the answers. So question number 1. Are you all ready?
Is this ridiculously difficult, or will we get some?
We'll see, won't we, Richard?
Because I'm worried with your quiz.
Question 1. Which player who won 66 international caps won the Premier League Player of the Month award in January 2003, December 2003, October 2006, and August 2010?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
Which player who won 66 international caps won the Player of the Month award in January 03, December 03, October 06, and August 2010?
August 20th.
Let's have your answers.
He's not. It wasn't. When you say international caps, it could be for anyone, right?
I didn't specify.
Okay, good.
Right, okay, I've sent you mine, Jack.
Yep, got it.
August 2010. That's thrown me.
Let's have your answers, guys. 66 international caps. Player of the Month awards spanning 7 years, nearly 8 years.
I've got absolutely no clue with this one.
Are you passing, Richard?
No, you
No,
can't
I can't
pass.
pass. I'll
Write down a name.
I'll write down a comical answer.
Give me a name.
Give me a sec. All right, hang on.
Got Johnny's answer. Richard's answer. Finn's.
You didn't laugh.
Interesting guess. You're all wrong.
Yeah.
The answer's Paul Scholes.
Oh.
Oh, I mean, I was close.
Johnny
I wasn't.
with Giggs. Carragher and Heskey, the other guesses. Anyway, yeah.
Heskey.
Paul Scholes, number 1.
I think they're legitimate
Question?
guesses. Nothing embarrassing.
Not bad.
Remember Heskey?
Yeah. Let's not talk about who went for what. Like, let's just move on to the next
Imagine
question.
if
Keep it
Heskey had won
running.
4 Player of the Month awards. What a player.
Question number 2. Question number 2. Which player who was part of England's Euro 96 squad won the UEFA Cup, FA Cup and League Cup treble with Liverpool in 2001 and has scored in the Premier League for 6 different clubs?
Ooh.
Bloody hell. Part of England's 96 squad.
England 96 won the UEFA Cup, FA Cup and League Cup in 2001 and has scored for 6 different Premier League clubs. Let's have your answers.
Six
That's
different Premier
mental.
League subs.
He was at Liverpool in 2001, so
Shouldn't be difficult, but
I mean that is probably the easiest of the 3 things to latch onto.
Oh, I'm just going to embarrass myself.
Let's have a guess.
I've
Let's have a
got
guess.
no idea at all.
It's a tough one. This one.
I'm
That's
amazed
so
how
cool.
tough it is. It should be easy from those clues.
Oh, just that thing I said about not laughing, Jack. I mean,
96
Give you a few more seconds, but I mean the listeners have probably all got it by now. So
No, they haven't.
oh,
Johnny's got his guess in.
Scored for 6 different clubs.
Scored for
Scored for 6 different clubs in the Premier League. Yeah.
mental.
Ah,
I mean, those are 3 quite good criteria. Let's go. Come on, guys. Let's have a guess.
I've got absolutely no idea.
Yeah, I just sent in something random.
Yeah, it's not correct.
I've got it wrong as well, but I'm
Finn,
annoyed.
good guess,
It's definitely wrong.
but also wrong.
I put in a bad guess, which
Richard
is
did the
definitely
same.
wrong.
Robbie Fowler. No. The answer is Nicky Barmby.
Oh,
Oh,
that is awful.
was he? I thought I
You're a
had him still down at Leeds in 2000.
No.
That wasn't Danny Murphy.
Oh, that's not a bad guess.
So you've got Scholes and Barmby so far. So thinking of the team while we go.
Oh, no.
Question number 3. Which player who has scored 34 Premier League goals was named in 3 consecutive PFA Teams of the Year between 2004 and 2006?
34
Say that
Premier League
again.
goals.
34.
Which player who scored 34 Premier League goals was named in 3 consecutive PFA Teams of the Year in 3-4, 4-5, and 5-6.
Ooh.
My guess is in.
Answer from Johnny. Quick off the mark here, Johnny, on all three.
I just don't really know any of the answers, so I'm like, well, what's the point in stringing this out?
Yeah. Richard, Finn?
No.
Oh, it's wrong.
34 Premier League goals. 3 consecutive teams of the year. Between 04 and 06. Richard, just waiting on you.
Apologies.
Can I change my answer, Jack?
Go on then.
Oh.
I can.
You can. Richard Reed, what is that answer?
There you go. Change one.
Are you all happy with your answers?
Not really.
Very unhappy.
Yeah, Johnny and Finn, you got it right. It was John Terry.
Yes! Yes!
Richard-
I'm just hoping to change.
Nicky Butt. I mean,
Nicky Butt is the best player in
did
the
he
world.
ever, did he ever get in it? Yeah.
34
He
just
certainly
rang
should have done.
John Terry.
Yeah, John Terry, 34, an impressive
I'm
return.
glad I changed.
Question number 4.
Out of interest, who did Finn have originally?
He had Sol Campbell,
Bit too
but
late.
he did change in due course. So
Plenty of time left.
all above
Yeah,
board.
oh yeah.
Question 4. Which player who was named PFA Young Player of the Year in 2003 went on to win the League Cup with Spurs in 2008?
PFA Young Player of the Year in 2003.
Yep, and won the League Cup with Spurs in 2008. Very quick answer from Richard.
It's the only one I could think of.
I've got 2 in my mind, and they're probably both wrong.
I've got nothing.
Telling me you can't name the Spurs winning side of the 2008 League Cup final.
Unfortunately, it's a black hole in my knowledge.
Oh,
Answer from Finn.
wrong answer from Finn.
Johnny.
Has anyone got it?
So Johnny went for Michael Dawson. Richard and Finn, you both went for Woodgate.
It was a Ledley King.
It's Jermaine Genius.
Bloody hell.
Back at Newcastle in
terrible.
2003. Young Player of the Year.
I'm on for none
So,
right
just
so
to
far.
So going into the last question, Johnny and Finn have got 1.
Just to confirm,
Richard on 0.
at the moment,
Have you got a
We do
tiebreaker?
have a tiebreaker. There needs to be a winner.
can we confirm who the players are at the moment? It's Scholes, Barnby,
Scholes, Barnby, Terry,
Campbell, and
Genius.
Terry and Genius.
Ready for the last question?
Yeah.
Which player who won the Championship playoff final in 2006 went on to win the Premier League in the 2012-13 season?
Premier League 2012-13. That should be the easy part.
Yeah, okay.
Which player who won the Championship playoff final in 2006 went on to win the Premier League in the 2012-13 season?
Championship 2006.
Have an answer from Finn. Answer from Johnny.
Oh, come on.
I've got a horrible feeling about this.
Yeah, this is...
I'm going to embarrass myself.
Richard?
I got no idea who would have been in that squad. Oh.
Do you know who won the 2006 playoff final?
I'm not sure who
No.
won the 2012-13 Premier League season right now, so...
Come on, Richard.
Hang on.
Let's have
All
it.
right, okay.
So the answer to that was Ashley Young.
Yes.
Watford winning the 2006 playoff final.
Finn, did you get that?
I did.
Got that one right. So Finn is the winner again with
Congratulations.
2 out of 5.
Congratulations, Finn.
6
Who'd you go for?
I went for Ben Foster.
Antonio Valencia.
Johnny second place gets the 1 point on his debut. Finn, very well done.
Thank you. I'm surprised as anyone.
So, to recap, Scholes, Barnby, Terry, Genus, Ashley Young. Any idea what the link is? It's a tough one.
Are they people who have missed penalties?
It's not that. Something? It's to do with the England team.
They wore the same number in consecutive major World Cups.
It's not that. It's a good guess though. I'll give you one more clue before we leave it, and the listeners can have a think as well. So Scholes did it in '99, Barnby in 2001, Terry in 2006, Genus in 2008, and Ashley Young in 2012. What did those players do in those years?
I know they all missed European finals through suspension.
No.
Genus
Ashley Young has not missed the European
English team. The England national team. Scholes in '99, Barnby 2001, Terry 2006, Genus 2008, Ashley Young 2012.
Did they tops? No.
Let's leave it. We'll have a think about it.
Yeah, very good question. I've no idea.
And maybe the listeners can tweet in at IAA Football if you've got the answer. Be very impressed if anyone gets it. So yeah, to wrap up.
I suppose better wrap up. Yeah, that's all from this week. It's been another enjoyable week.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks, Johnny, for hosting.
Yeah.
And thanks to all the listeners.
See you all next week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you and good night.